Ja, okay. Ah, das sind die White Sox.
Same old place, sweet home, Chicago. Come on, baby, don't you wanna go?
Tallest building in the Western Hemisphere. Along the way, you could watch as we pass by some of the tallest buildings, monuments, and structures in the world. Tower opened its doors in 1973 and held the title of the world's tallest building for 25 years. The west antenna reaches 1,730 feet above the Chicago streets. The Bank of China Tower in Hong Kong. 1,250 feet in the Empire State Building in New York. And now we're here, 103 stories up. Welcome to the top.
Ey Schatz, das ist aber eklig. Komm rein. Komm rein. Das ist immer noch jemand. Komm rein jetzt. Trau dich, das ist verlassen. Guck mal da hoch.
You stupid.
I know.
Baby, don't you wanna go? Come on, baby, don't you wanna go back to that same old place, sweet home, Chicago. Come on, baby, don't you wanna go? Howdy, hey, baby, don't you wanna go back to that same old place, a sweet home, Chicago? Well, what I want us to do, 6 and 2 is 8. Come on, baby, don't you make me late. Hey, baby, don't you wanna go back to that same old place, sweet home, Chicago? Come on, baby, don't you wanna go? Oh, come on, baby, don't you wanna go back to that same old place, sweet home, Chicago?
The fire in 1871, the World's Fair in 1893, and the City of Chicago plan in 1909. And for 8 years, they dug a 28-mile canal out to the west, across the Continental Divide, that was able to tilt and reverse the direction of flow of this river. So now clean, green Lake Michigan water flows out to the west. And so this water is flushing out the river system. By the way, do you notice it's green, this teal turquoise color water? Green water is Lake Michigan water. And it's green simply because of an algae that, to the left, the second tallest building in the second row with the curvy fin sticking out. The building is called Aqua. It means water. It's a high-end residence and hotel. Each unit has its own unique balcony, which together makes the building look like waves of water. For $17 million. I know, hurry up and get that, huh? 1979 black box, get used to seeing those. We're gonna see a lot of those. That's called modernism, not classical. of course, the triangular shaped building. We got Andre the Bubble Guy is up on the bridge right here. Let's give it up for Andre, huh? Thanks, Andre. He blows bubbles. You know why? That's a gun. He's got a bubble gun. It says, welcome to Chicago. He blows bubbles because everyone loves bubbles. You guys like bubbles? He takes donations, too. Okay, coming into view. The Trump International Hotel and Tower. Gorgeous building, 2009. Doesn't it look like it's a continuation of the river right up into the sky? Done by a Chicago native architect, super famous guy named Adrian Smith. We call him the world's tallest architect. These are site-specific designs made to complement the context. The flags in the foreground, the clock towers in the background here. William J. Wrigley Jr., the chewing gum king, he made the entire building using chewing gum. Profits. I wasn't done. Chewing gum profits, yeah. I do recommend, guys, walk on the Magnificent Mile, which is Michigan Avenue north of the river, Mag Mile. When you come down close to this building, I recommend you go into this Giardelli's. They'll get you close there. Go into the Giardelli's, tell them Jim sent you, and they'll give you a free piece of chocolate. You may have heard that Chicago had a little bit of a gangster problem back then, so the diamond dealers didn't want to walk the streets of Chicago with a big bag of jewels, right? So the diamond dealers would drive their whole car into an elevator in the basement. The whole car would go up to the floor where they'd buy and sell their jewels, nice and smart. Except if you look up to the top, see that dome on the very top, the cupola? Back in the late 20s, there was prohibition. That's when liquor was illegal. There was a speakeasy, a hidden bar up there. Guess who they say was up there running bootleg liquor and running the city of Chicago? Al Capone. Condominiums. Each one has their own little balcony curving out there like that. Affectionately called the corn cob towers for obvious reasons. Now,
In the summer, this is about 3/4 full.
Late 20s was the roaring 20s, the jazz age. That was a decade of luxury, sophistication, prosperity, airplane travel. Let's start over here to the left because this building is one of Chicagoans' favorite buildings. Now, it may look contemporary, but this thing is 34 years old. This was way ahead of its time in 1983. An excellent example of how a building can conform to its context. The curve of the building matches the curve of the river. Two different rows of reflective glass. Blue matches the sky, turquoise green matches the river water. And freezer building for the meat packing business. You know, Chicago was the hog butcher of the world, the city of broad shoulders. They would bring barges of beef from the stockyards on the south side, freeze them in the giant freezer, and then offload them onto the refrigerated train car right behind to be shipped across the country. Over to the right, the bridge. A 1908 landmark bridge goes up and down once a year for maintenance, but it exposes how these bridges work. Think of a teeter-totter. That's how much of a concrete counterweight you need to balance this much steel. It were both ugly and loud. Now, with this project, train tracks are capped off. They're going to look down on a nice quiet plaza, so they're happy about that. Now, it is going to move. We're in the windy city. All these buildings move in the wind. It's better to bend than break. But this one, again, I recommend looking up there, right? This one, because of its especially narrow base, has this feature on the top floor. It's not a typo. People ask about civic opera building. In Latin, there's no U. And so they put a V to make it look like old Latin. First one to the right, 1929, Art Deco, the Roaring 20s. What happened to the U.S. economy in 1929? The Great Depression, then World War II. Guys, do you know that in Chicago, as in most major cities, there were practically no offices built between 1930 and 1956. That's 26 years, no building. When they rebooted architecture, they rebooted it down to its essential core. What's the essence of a building? This is a black box. The 1950s, 60s, black box modernism. 1970s, they still made boxes, but now they're with white concrete. So it's a little bit softer, still a box. Some call this the international school. It's so generic you could put this building anywhere in the world. It'll kind of fit right in. Standard issue, catalog issued 1970s office building. Then the next decade, the 1980s, that's when things changed. Big hair bands and the Berlin Wall ties it to its river context, all that playing together. The left, you'll see up on the wall, guys, This is a giant "You Are Here" map, okay? That orange Lego piece is this building on that map. And you look and you can see up there the Y, the shape of the river. Remember, we went up the north branch of the river, now we're coming down the south branch. Again, the symbol of Chicago, the circle with a Y in it. This dirty building coming up on the right from the opening scene of the 2008 The Batman movie, The Dark Knight. The Joker's guys slide down on a zip line to the roof of this building. They go down to rob Gotham Bank. At the end of that scene, the Joker drives a school bus full of cash out through those windows there and drives the wrong way down Van Buren Street, and that's how the Joker got away. The city had a beef with Mrs. O'Leary, who had to hoof it out of town. This is over to your right. This Riverwalk, guys. This is the last final section of the Riverwalk. In fact, this one just opened in November last year. You're now able to walk from here all the way out to the lake. That's a mile from here. The water plants grows down into the water, creates the habitat so that the 71 native species of fish can repopulate the river. Guys, remember kindergarten pencils? Look up to the windows in that building. See the black vertical rods? Those are meant to evoke those black pencils. Again, taking the story of the company, building it into the building when they can. The green tall building over to the right, straight ahead of us with the real gold leaf.
Same old place, sweet home, Chicago. Come on, baby, don't you wanna go? Howdy, hey, baby, don't you wanna go? Back to that same old place, a sweet home, Chicago. What I want us to 6 and 2 is 8. Come on, baby, don't you make me late. Hey, baby, don't you wanna go back to that same old place, sweet home, Chicago. Come on, baby, don't you wanna go? Come on, baby, don't you wanna go?
Und mit großer Erleichterung und den Füßen, ich hab den Füßen, sind wir wieder hier. Hallo, Auto, der Kreis ist nicht. Oder mein letzter Blick. Bis dann, Chicago.